Okay, so in the last lecture we prepared HTML markup for our project, and as we said, it's time to start styling it. Let's open CSS file, which is empty for now. First thing that I want to do is to get rid of margin and padding for all elements. In order to select every element in CSS, we have special selector asterisk. So it means that we have selected all elements which are created and which will be created. Alright, as we said, let's get rid of margin and padding. Set them as 0. Then select container. At first, let's set font family. Use here Google font called Josephine Sans, and then write sans serif. Then define height as 100 VH. When you use viewport height measurement unit, it means that you define how many percent of viewport you want height to be. So in this case we used 100 VH, and it means that height of container will be 100% of viewport. Let's go ahead and define width. I'm going to use here viewport width measurement unit, which actually does the same job as viewport height, but it measures width according to viewport width. So let's write here 100 viewport width. And lastly, I'm going to use image as a background of container. So write background and define URL of image. In images folder, we have image called bg.jpg. Then in order to avoid repeating, let's insert here value of background repeat property, no repeat. Next, I want to take care of position of image. Actually, I'm going to perfectly center it, and for that, let's insert here value center, which belongs to background position property. Actually, here we used shortened way, but as you know, you're able to define those values separately. Alright, last thing regarding background is to add linear gradient. I'm going to make background a little bit darker. So before URL, let's insert linear gradient. Then inside it use RGBA values. Actually, RGBA allows us to define opacity of color. In this case, I'm going to use black color. For that, I'm going to insert here arguments as 0, 0, 0, and the opacity 0.5. Then copy it and paste as a second color. Alright, that's it regarding container. Now it's time to move on and style card. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to hide those elements for a while and give some styles to card wrapper. In order to hide card, let's select it and assign to it display none. So as you see, elements are hidden. And now let's go ahead and select card wrapper. First of all, I want to define height and width for it. Let's make height 600 pixels and width as 450 pixels. And in order to make wrapper visible, let's create border, make its width as 1 pixel, then solid, and as a color write FFF. Alright, next thing that I want to do is to center card wrapper perfectly. In order to do that, I'm going to use position absolute. As you know, in this case, element jumps out from normal flow of page, and using top, left, right, and bottom properties, you can place it wherever you want. Actually, in CSS, there is a nice trick to center element perfectly. For that, we have to define top and left positions as 50%. So in this case, top left corner of card wrapper is centered perfectly. But actually, it's not what we want. We need to center wrapper itself. And for that, we have to use transform with translate. Translate allows us to move element according to horizontal and vertical directions. I mean, according to X and Y axis. So in this case, we need to move wrapper by minus 50%. for both directions from its current position. So let's insert here arguments as minus 50% and again minus 50%. So as you see, now card wrapper is perfectly centered inside container. Alright, next we need to define background for wrapper. As you remember from project preview, the main effective and nice thing regarding this project is that we have effect using two background images. So in case of card wrapper, we need the exact same background which we used for container. So let's copy it from container and paste it for card wrapper. At a glance, nothing is changed here, but in fact we have background for container and for wrapper separately. In order to see it, let's comment background for container out. So this is what I'm talking about. If we get rid of border, then it will seem that we have here just one image. Alright, before we finish this lecture, I'm going to create hover effect. When we hover on card wrapper, I want to add to it shadow effect. So let's select card wrapper, then add hover, and assign to it box shadow with the values 0, 0, then 30 pixels, and as a color, write FFF. So as you see, when we mouse over wrapper, then we have shadow, but it's not looking nice. In order to make effect smoother, let's use transition with values box shadow and 1 second, which is duration. So as you see, now it looks much better. Actually, I want to make corners of wrapper a little bit rounded. For that, let's use border radius with value 5 pixels. Alright, I think for now it's enough. Let's stop here and continue styling this project in the next lecture.